Hi, my name is Anjun, and this video is the first of a few documentation series on our project in data mining course in the fulfillment of Master in Data Science for University of Malaya. So, if you look here, there is already a GitHub website set up. It's set up by my teammate, Jiawei, and our title for our project is Climate, News, and Stock Price Based Predictability on Crude Palm Oil CPO commodity prices. To give you a bit of the background, is that the top palm oil producing nations are Indonesia followed by Malaysia, and these two countries produce up to 87% of the total palm oil production in the world. So, like any plants, palm oil is also susceptible to climate, extreme weather, excess rainfall, and so on. Our hypothesis is that by looking at Malaysia and Indonesia weather data, we should be able to predict directly on the CPO production yield, as well as indirectly predict the CPO prices. To spice things up, we also investigate the effects of news sentiment analysis for palm oil related news, as well as the top 5 palm oil companies that is trading palm oil or producing palm oil in the world, and see how does the stock price of this company affect CPO prices or vice versa. In our first milestone, we will be talking about the data acquisition and web crawling. We will look at two major tools for web crawling. One is Selenium and the other one is Scrapy. For the four major data sources, we will be looking at the first one, daily trading data on CPO prices, which is on the Bursa Malaysia market. The second one is the weather data on a daily basis from over 80 locations across Malaysia and Indonesia. The third one is monthly Malaysia CPO production from 2014 to 2020. And the last one here, we have news related to palm oil industry on a daily basis from 2009 to 2020. Additional data to explore are stock prices of top 5 major palm oil key companies, and as well as some additional data, weather data from Dark Sky API, and the last one, a land use dataset looking at land use area for palm oil concessions, palm oil mills, RSPO mills, yada from Data Global, forestwatch.org. Okay, without further ado, let me introduce the two mining tools. The first one, Selenium. It is a tool for automating web browser, but a lot of people actually use it for web scraping as well because of the easiness to use it. And on the right hand side, we have Scrapy, which is a much more efficient or productive tool to use if you want to scrap a big project. Okay, so for the first data source on daily CPO prices, we are scraping it from investing.com, and if you look here, basically it has a historical data for palm oil future. However, it's limited to 2020. It's limited to only a month of data unless we interact with the widget. We select earlier beginning dates for the data. So in order to get data from this, the web scraping tool will need to interact with the widget, which traditionally with a request library we cannot do that. Using Selenium, it can interact with the widget. If we look here, the widget that we need to interact with is the widget field date range, and once we click into it, Selenium should interact with start date input as well as end date input to put in the correct date range, and click on apply before scraping the the rest of the table data, which are in HTML format. Allow me to run through the notebook here quickly. So here I have already declared the website, the URL, and once I click this, it's going to start a web driver. And you see here it's running. Once it's open up, you can see that it's going through all the date range, applying it, and you can see that it's already applied it, and you have all the data from 2020 to 2014, which is the earliest it has. In the script, you can see that I have already defined the start date and end date. Here is where it looks into widget field date range widget, clicks it, it puts the start date, and then it puts the end date as well, and then apply the click button on apply. After that, it waits until it's find the table, and this is just a logic to run through the HTML, pass them into a data frame. That's the logic for that. It's going to take some time, and I will not waste your time here, but instead you can see the end result here, where there's a nice price chart plot here done by Panda. Okay, moving on to the second data set for scrapping, we will be looking at n2tinfo.net. Here we can see that there are a lot of countries covered here. We are interested in the countries in Asia, specifically for Malaysia and Indonesia. And here you can see basically it lists out all the cities. You click into it, it gives you the, not this one, this is that. If you look at Banting, not here. Just give me a second here. Okay, so you need to look into climate data where they have the historical data. So if you look at Alostar, list out all the years. And if you click the years, it gives you like the month, and within the month you have all the different days in a nicely table format. But the trick here is that the website, they have put some anti-scrapping technology here. As you can see, these are not selectable, whereas basically they are all not selectable, but these ones are actually numbers. However, here is actually a pseudo element which you can't really scrap unless you know the dictionary. So I will go through how we handle that. As you can see, the number 2 here is actually span class and TTU. In the other case where there is actually actual numbers, and when it goes down here it does not have actual numbers, so it makes it very hard for people to scrape. So here you can see I have actually accumulated 4 sets of patterns for the span class. You can see that in the climate here, NTAS refers to 8, and I have already calculated for that in my data, which is NTAS as 8 in this dictionary. So I have gone through the trouble to match them so that I will be able to scrape their data without any problem. Same thing as how we scrape for investing.com. We are basically specifying the URL, the domain, and then before I even start scraping the data, I go into the country website, basically scrape for all the different locations. I get the station IDs because if you have noticed, this part is actually the station ID. And all I need to know is the station ID, and then I need to know what are the dates available, and I can change that in the URL and do that in a loop to get all the data for all these weather stations. So yes, just let me run this for you to see it in action. So now it's getting the weather data, the stations data from these two countries, Malaysia and Indonesia. And you can see that it has already scraped the dictionary. So we specify a directory for storing the data, and here is where we start scraping the data. You can see it's going directly to the month of the year of the weather station, and after like 20 seconds you can see it's going through February of that year of that station. So this will do it in an iterative process until it scrapes all of the year and all of the months of this station. So the data that's stored is in the CSV format, and it basically has all the components of the table we just saw just now. Which are the columns which are standing for the different temperatures, atmospheric pressure, wind speed, and so on. Okay, that's all for Selenium. I will pass to my teammate to talk about Scrappy.